Hello, and what's up? Today, I'll take an in-depth look at the Spatial Sound Listener Manager in the WwiserR plugin. The Spatial Sound Listener Manager facilitates positioning and controlling the behavior of the spatial audio listener and its distance probe. Any number of presets can be set up in data assets that can be swapped out at runtime, for example when entering a vehicle or spectator mode, or switching camera perspectives. Additionally, individual parameters can be tweaked and interpolated using a collection of blueprint nodes. Complex relationships between multiple in-game listeners can also be set up and managed quickly and easily. In this system, the WwiserR Spatial Audio Listener and its distance probe are positioned in relation to the camera and a listener target similar to the Unreal Camera View target. Listener Manager presets are stored in data assets that can be easily auditioned and compared when playing the game in the editor. One such preset can be assigned in the Listener Manager blueprint to override the system's default settings and swapped out with other presets freely at runtime. The listener's orientation can be set to follow either the camera or listener target rotation, or the direction between them. The target, on the other hand, can be attached to any socket on either the player or the camera view target. Via blueprint nodes, it's even possible to attach it to any Unreal component in the scene, or follow a specific transform at runtime, which can be interesting, for example in sports games, when you want to keep the focus closely on the action. Using the positional lerp values, the listener and distance probe can be positioned anywhere in between the camera and the listener target. These values can be smoothly interpolated using various curves at runtime. This can create some interesting effects when aiming, eavesdropping, and so on. If you want to send the listener speed to WwiserR at any time, an RTPC can simply be assigned here as well. The last option in this section allows you to lock the listener in the same room as the target. Let's have a look at how this works in a quick example.
In the quiet of the night, when the world turns still, I find myself in conversation with the wall. Their silence holds the weight of
A common
years,
issue in third-person
a
games
canvas of echoes.
is that the camera might clip through walls or
I
level
speak to them of
geometry
dreams that
between
never-
itself and the player.
that withered in the harsh daylight.
The game could handle this by restricting the camera movement to
I
avoid
speak
this
to them
clipping
of dreams
behavior.
that never took flight,
However,
of hopes
this
that
often
withered in
results
harsh
in either the
daylight.
camera clipping
They
through the
listen,
player,
unwavering to
or
my
the
every
player
word,
being
a
rendered
steadfast
invisible.
audience, though they've never heard. The walls, they remember the laughter and pain, the marks of living.
Therefore,
indelible
oftentimes,
stains.
rather
They
than
hold
preventing the
shadows of who I've
clipping,
been.
the obstructing geometry is made invisible instead. Typically, this can cause
Sometimes I ask
problems
them
when
if they
working
dream
with
at
the
night.
WwiserR spatial audio building blocks, as the listener can
Dancing
easily
with-
end up in a different
Or are they
audio
content?
room or volume than its target.
The walls remain silent, stoic, and grand. A reminder that all
Checking the Keep Listener in Same Room as Target option in the WwiserR Listener Manager ensures that the listener
rhythm of
stays in the
rain
same
against their
audio
frame, I
room
hear
or
them
volume
whisper,
as the
calling
listener
my name.
target, unless
Not
there's
in
an open
words, but in
audio
the gentle
portal
sway
between them
of
that
memories
connects their
lingering at the
respective
end of day.
rooms.
I asked them if they
I
remember
will
the
add
years
some
gone
more
by, the laughter
options
that
to
once
tweak
rang
this
high.
behavior later on,
They
when I
responded
will
with a sigh
extend the
of settling
WwiserR spatial
dust, a
audio
reminder that all things
functionality,
must
but for
adjust.
now, I'm just using the
Those are my
default
life's
WwiserR
quiet
spatial
laughter.
audio toolkit.
And so, in the stillness of the night's deep thrall, I find myself at peace, just talking to the walls.
Finally, the Sound Listener Manager has several functions to easily set up additional game world listeners and relations between them. As a reminder, last time I looked at the global emitters and listener. As they live inside the audio subsystem, they are independent of game worlds, and not spatialized by default. The spatial audio listener and world listeners that we will look at in the next examples are spatialized by default and live inside the game world, typically as actor components. Now, I'd like to check in on my buddy, Blueprint Benny, for a second.
I've seen salads that are tougher than you guys. Time to show these bad guys why I should stick to video games.
It seems Blueprint Benny finds himself in a rather stressful environment.
Friendly fire?
let's offer him a nice, work-from-home, listening ear.
Don't worry, guys! I'll just shoot wildly. It always works in the movies.
For that reason only, let's open up Benny and give him a little microphone. Then all we'll have to do is transmit his signal to our radio at home. I'll use an auxiliary bus for this, to add a radio effect in Wwise. I add some radio noise too, before hooking up Benny's vocal cords. And after picking our radio mesh in the scene, we're all set to comfortably support Benny, from home.
Conversation with the walls.
At least the enemies are consistent. They always show up uninvited.
Canvas echoes, their stories unfold. I speak to them of dreams that never took flight, of hopes that withered in the harsh daylight.
Friendly fire?
They listen, unwavering
Just
to my every
practicing
word,
my
expecting audience, though they've never heard. The walls, they remember the laughter and pain, the marks of living, like indelible stains.
I
They
think
hold
I'm
the
more
shadow
scared of
of
our
the
sergeant than the enemy.
a silent witness to all I've seen. Each crack in their surface, a line of crows telling
Don't
tales of
worry,
waves that rose.
guys!
They hold the
I'll
secrets I
just
dare
shoot
not share
wildly.
with the world
It always
outside.
works in the movies.
Sometimes I ask them if they dream
Note
at
that
night,
Benny's
of colors and
microphone
sounds.
is picking up all sounds around him, without having to manually assign any emitters to it. Furthermore, world listeners are fully integrated in the WwiserR distance culling systems.
I've seen salads that are tougher than you guys.
For the cherry of today, let's take it one step further, by placing the receiver on my player character, and adding an RTPC so that Benny uses his talkie only when I'm far enough away from him. I also add a small connection and disconnection noise. And now, we're officially, Blueprint Benny's, fully, hybrid, mindfulness buddy.
I think I'm more scared of our sergeant than the enemy. At least the enemies are consistent. They always show up uninvited. Don't worry, guys! I'll just shoot wildly. It always works in the movies. If anyone needs me, I'll be over here, not getting shot. Who needs therapy when you have explosions like this?
In their arms I find a sanctuary, a place where I can simply be. And though they stand in silence tall, I know they
Friendly fire?
They
Just
bear my
practicing
words.
my
They
aim.
whisper secrets, caught in an autumn breeze. For in this room, in this sacred space, I find a friend in their golden grace.
Who needs therapy when you have explosions like
It
this?
stays with me. Come on. So, I'll continue to speak to these walls so true, for they've heard more of me than anyone knew. In their quiet
I
presence,
think I'm more scared of our sergeant than the enemy.
and though the world outside may call, I'll always return to the comfort of these walls. For they've become more than mere stone or plastic.
Don't worry, guys!
Quiet.
I'll just shoot wildly. It always works in the movies.
After all, I find myself at peace, just talking to the walls.
And this brings me to the end of the second video in this series. Next time, I'll tackle distance culling of the game world sound emitters. In the meantime, any feedback, suggestions, or ideas for further development would be greatly appreciated in the comments below.